Hey everyone, I'm Tiara, and today I'm here just to keep it all the way real with you guys. I'm not here with the fancy video, with the music and the fancy edits. I just wanted to come and tell my story, the real, raw, unfiltered part of my story, in hopes that, it'll find the people that I want to connect with, the people that I want to help, the ones that have been through similar experiences or, just need a word of hope. My tribe. That's who I'm looking for. So you're going to see me reading it because it's something that I've been working on for quite some time in hopes to release a book someday. So let's get into it. So let's get into this, guys. And again, don't forget you are going to see me reading because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And it's a story that I've wrote, so it's kind of hard to memorize the whole thing. But I didn't want to miss any parts, so in order to do that, I need to read it. And I hope you guys don't mind. So, part one is Roots of Resilience. Every one of us has a story. Some chapters are beautiful, filled with love and light, while others are messy, painful, and full of lessons we never asked for. And this is mine. I'm sharing it not to point fingers, seek pity, or dwell on the past, but to offer hope to anyone navigating their own storm. Telling my story isn't easy. In fact, I've struggled with this decision to release it for a long time. There's a vulnerability in opening up that feels raw, and part of me wondered if I was ready to face it. But deep down, my soul keeps telling me it's time to speak my truth, not for me, but for anyone who might find a piece of themselves in my words. I've learned that our struggles don't define us. How we rise from them does. My journey has been full of heartbreak, resilience, and self discovery, and I wouldn't change a thing. Every person in my story, every challenge I face, has shaped me into the woman I am today. I've forgiven those who hurt me, and I've even forgiven myself for the times I didn't know better. My goal in telling this story is simple: to be a lighthouse for anyone who feels lost in the dark. If you've ever questioned your worth, struggled to find your voice, or felt like you were drowning under the weight of life, I want you to know you're not alone. You're stronger than you realize, and your story matters. And this is the beginning of my journey because it's just beginning. I have so much more life to live. It's a story of pain, love, and strength to keep moving forward. It's not always pretty, but it's real. And if it helps even one person find their light, then it's worth sharing. When I think about my childhood, the memories feel like a patchwork quilt. Some parts warm and comforting, others rough and impossible to ignore. My dad was the hero of my earliest years. He had served in the Vietnam War, and I thought that was the greatest thing ever. He made me feel safe, like the world was okay as long as he was around. I didn't know then that he was fighting a battle I couldn't see. And that battle ended when I was 8. All I knew was that he was gone and wasn't coming back. It wasn't until I turned 17 that I learned the truth. My dad was a recovering heroin addict, and he died from complications of AIDS. That revelation hit hard. The man I idolized had carried a burden so heavy, yet he never let me feel it. Even now, I hold on to the memory of him as the dad who loved me without limits, who made me feel like I was everything. My mom, on the other hand, wasn't quite the warm and nurturing type. She was distant, very critical. It made me feel like I was in constant competition with my older sister, who hated me from the moment I was born. My mom had this way of stirring the pot between us, always playing us against each other. It wasn't until I was 20 and pregnant, after the father of my unborn child was murdered, that my mom finally told me she loved me. For most people, those words might have brought comfort, but for me, they just reopened wounds. Thank God for my stepdad. He came into my life when I was 3 and showed me the kind of love my mom couldn't. He was present at every milestone and supported me in ways that felt rare in our household. He wasn't perfect, but he was steady, and I needed that. And then there was my aunt, my dad's sister. She felt like a lifeline. I spent so much time with her, and she treated me like her own. She'd take me shopping, let me just be a kid, and she always had my back. I'll never forget the time my dad's half brother called me, and he tried to get me to stay overnight at his place. I was only 13, and I had only met him a few weeks prior. He didn't have any kids or a wife, so I knew something wasn't quite right. When I told my aunt, she didn't hesitate to confront him, cussing him out in a way that left no room for misunderstanding. She protected me in ways I didn't always feel at home. Still, though, life with her wasn't without its challenges. She would also pick up one of my cousins, so I would have someone to play with. And that cousin would pick fights with me constantly. I never wanted to fight back. It just wasn't who I was. But I didn't have a choice. If I didn't defend myself, I was getting in trouble. Those moments taught me how to stand my ground, even when I didn't want to. Loss and violence were themes in my early years. In kindergarten, I lost a friend to a drive-by shooting not far from my house. It was my first experience with death and the randomness of danger, and it truly left a mark on me. By the time I was 9, my mom and stepdad decided to move us from Baltimore City to the suburbs. It was like stepping into a different world. And that's part 1, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to part 1. I am going to release part 2 shortly after this, and I hope you guys will join me on part 2. Till then, bye-bye.